Today we continue our NHL offseason plan series. We're now at the 14th ranked team from the NHL's 21-22 regular season, the Los Angeles Kings. What are the top questions and priorities facing this franchise as they approach this offseason getting ready for next year? We'll discuss those possibilities coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned today, we're exploring the LA Kings offseason and what we should expect from them to get ready for the 22-23 season. Of course, we know the Kings had a pretty successful overall year, making the playoffs for the first time in a few years, which was great to see. So before we jump into the full video, I just want to fully explain how this works. In case you're new to this series, we're going to recap the 21-22 season quickly, take a look at a few quick stats just to get a snapshot of how things went. We're then going to explore their salary cap space and see where things sit for available funds to work with. And then we're going to explore their expiring contracts with the RFAs and UFAs and see who needs to be signed or replaced in this lineup. And then we're going to take a look at the top questions and priorities facing the team once we get through all that and explore what to expect from them. So let's first recap the 21-22 NHL season. They put up a 99-point campaign, going with a record of 44, 27, and 11. So they were third place in the Pacific. Of course, lost a long, hard-fought playoff series against the Edmonton Oilers, but they certainly gave them a really good go and came out just short of coming ahead for a first-round victory. But all in all, I think the Kings season can be looked upon as being very successful. Not everybody thought they were going to make the playoffs. I think they might have been at least a little bit of a surprise. I think the fact that Vegas was not in the playoffs this year kind of created a bit of an opening in that Pacific Division, and we saw teams like LA and Anaheim kind of higher in the standings early on. Of course, the Ducks ended up falling off, but the Kings managed to rally and kind of stay in it to get themselves a spot, which was great to see. They ended up scoring 235 goals, 20th best in the NHL. So even with the additions they've made, they could still be more offensive. That's certainly for sure based on these results. Goals against was pretty solid. 232 goals against for 10th best in the NHL. Of course, the power play, like I said, offense was not their greatest strength this year. 16.1 on the power play is not anywhere near acceptable. 27th best this year. The PK was okay, but not anywhere near great either. 76.7% for 22nd in the NHL. So by far, the team defense, goaltending was their strongest suit here. That they were able to keep the puck out of the net, but special teams weren't good, and they certainly need to score more. That is obviously clear with this team. So we'll see where things go from here. Now, moving on to look at their salary cap space for next year. Right now, they have 14 contracts on the books, totaling $61.874 million, which gives them an available cap space of just a hair over $20.6 million. So that might seem like a lot of money, but when you think about 14 contracts, that means they need to sign anywhere from 8, 7, 8, 9 players, and they have a lot of players that are going to be looking for raises, especially in RFAs. So let's take a look at those contracts now, see where this money is going to be allocated and how they can spread it around and hopefully get better for next year. On the RFA side of things, we have Adrian Kempe, who had obviously a good year and is going to be expecting a raise and a new contract. You get Brendan Lemieux, Carl Grundstrom, of course, Gabe Vilardi. I wouldn't be shocked if Vilardi is moved. I think he will definitely be given a qualifying offer, but I'm not sure that his future is in LA. Elias Anderson, debatable as well. I'm not sure what the future holds for him. Of course, Mikey Anderson obviously had a real good year, an underrated player on the back end there. You got Sean Durzi, obviously emerged too. Nice pickup that they got from the Toronto Maple Leafs when they made that trade a couple of years back involving Jack Campbell and Colin Clifford. And of course, Jacob Mouvrer as well. On the UFA side of things, you got Andreas Athanasiou, a couple of defensemen here, actually 3 with Olli Mata, Alex Edler, and Troy Stetcher. Of course, you also got Martin Ferk, who mostly plays in the minors, which is a little bit mind-boggling. That guy's got one of the hardest shots of all time. And then Christian Verlanen, another defenseman who was basically a spare part, played more so in the minors with limited NHL action. On the UFA side of things, I could see them maybe considering trying to bring back Troy Stetcher. He was a deadline acquisition, but he fit in nicely and played well for them in the playoffs. I don't know. Olli Mata, I think, will be gone. Edler, I'm not sure if they want to plan on bringing Edler back or not. Maybe, But I could see the fact they could probably get Stetcher for a good price, and he could be an extra piece back there to be somebody who could play in your top six. So I wouldn't be shocked if he's brought back. But with all that said, now let's take a look at the top burning questions facing this Los Angeles Kings team going into the offseason here. Of course, we know head coach Todd McLellan is in place. He's not going anywhere. GM Rob Blake has been given an extension as well. So there won't be any changes that way to really explore. But I think, like I said, based on these results, they could use another proven goal scorer. I mean, last summer they added Victor Arvidsson. Obviously, he had some injuries this year, which was unfortunate. But, adding another player who can put the puck in the net would be wise. They have a ton of prospects that they can use here for trade. Now, I do also expect them to consider adding another defenseman. Of course, Drew Doughty didn't have a good year for health. Obviously, he missed a lot of time too, which was really unfortunate for the LA Kings. But they do have some young emerging defensemen back there. Like I said, you saw Anderson and guys like Dursey have big seasons. Jordan Spence got more time. There's a lot of young defensemen there that are kind of on the up and up. But there is some train of thought to say that they might want to add another veteran back there. And there's even a possibility they could be in on Jacob Chychrun of the Coyotes. Up front, you have to think a guy like Kevin Fiala in Minnesota might be on their radar as well. Or possibly do they consider dipping into the free agent world and maybe looking at a guy like Philip Forsberg, assuming he makes it to free agency, because we don't know at this point that he's going to. He could still possibly re-sign in Nashville, although most people give that a 50-50 chance the way things are trending right now with negotiations. They have a lot of prospects, though, that are, not in the NHL, not getting regular ice time that I expect they can use for trades to tweak the lineup here and add a couple of additional pieces. You're looking at guys like Gabe Vilardi, like I mentioned. Alex Turcotte, still not an NHL regular, considering how high he was drafted. You get Aiden Dudas, Akil Thomas, Tyler Madden, Samuel Fagemo. They have a lot. There's a lot of guys. They are loaded with prospects, and they can't all play in LA. And a lot of them at this point are probably looking for more of an opportunity too. So I would not be shocked to see them consider putting together packages for a guy like a Chychrun in Arizona, like I said, or maybe a Kevin Fiala in Minnesota, or maybe they go into free agency and look at Forsberg. It's just kind of hard to say, but certainly, like I said, they're not going to have a ton of salary cap space. Now, a lot of their RFAs aren't going to be able to command big money. Kempe will get the most out of that whole group, but, guys like Grundstrom, Lemieux, Anderson, Dursey, they're going to get raises for sure, but it may not be, super big and significant that's going to really eat away at the salary cap space. But, it's still a situation where that they could swing in at least one more good size addition this offseason, maybe two. Now, the thing of Chychrun, he's only making like $4.6 million. And if they do have a roster player included in that trade along with some prospects or picks and have a little bit of salary go out with it, then that would help too, right? So they could add Chychrun probably without really eating away too much at that. And then they'd still have room to go after another scorer, whether it be Fiala, Forsberg, or something along those lines. So to me, that's likely what's going to happen, or at least what their most likely scenario is if they really want to be aggressive, to take things up a notch. We saw them be aggressive last year. They traded for Arvidsson. They signed Philip Deneau. Some of these moves have worked out pretty good. There's been some rumors about trading for Brendan Gallagher in Montreal, of course, because of the connection to Deneau and Marc Bergevin, who is the former GM in Montreal, now working as an advisor with Rob Blake. I don't know that that's really going to stand any chance to happen. I don't think that's really their best move, but certainly adding one of the other guys I mentioned, like a Fiala or a Forsberg, would really take things up a notch for them. So we'll see how things go, but that's kind of what we're expecting here for the Los Angeles Kings. They have the assets to pull it off. It's just a matter of deciding which way do we go. So if you're the LA Kings, what do you do? Do you think adding a guy like Fiala or Forsberg or Chychrun, if you could only do one to make this team better for next year, which one do you do? Give me your trade proposals or your contract offers for Forsberg as some examples in the comments we can discuss further. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with the latest news, rumors, and analysis on all 32 NHL teams. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.